Hello, how you guys doing? He's juggling things at the moment, so he said he's going to be slightly late. He did mention that a couple minutes ago, so just gotta sit tight, relax, and wait. Things don't always go to plan, but the show must go on. So, how is everybody doing? And this is the inaugural first. Hello. How you guys doing? Episode. Hang on a sec. He's juggling things in my earphones, so if there's an echo. He said he's going to be slightly late. You can hear that. I have the preview on. Anyway, so interesting night, wasn't it? With Sargon. I don't want to talk too much about it because it's not really a politics podcast, but it's like people see two different things, isn't it? With these debates, there never seems to be a middle ground. I mean, I'm not trying to be a radical alt-centrist or anything, but very fascinating. Although I do believe that a certain group of people really need to mature a little bit. You know, as a Jordan Peterson would say, clean your room, bucko. That's what you need to do. Entertain us. Blood sports. How was my Sunday? Depressing. Man United lost. So, yeah.
Is this working?
Hey, here he is, right on cue.
It is working.
It
Excellent.
is working. And
how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Just got real quiet real fast. That's never a good sign.
Really?
There we go. Now I hear you again.
Ah, that's good. That's good. Let's hope you can hear me all the way through. Now, I'll have to check in a minute to see if you're coming through, but the chat will tell me anyway. It should be working. So, how you doing?
I'm all right. How about yourself?
Fine. Just I'm a little bit fed up with football. I mean, soccer, because my team lost today. But apart from that, I'm doing fine. Especially in the fantasy football. So, you have that as well, don't you, over there? But with NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
yes,
doing
we
all
do. Actually, one of my favorite TV shows is based around that. Despite the fact that I've not only never played it, I don't follow football. So
this is my first.
Either way,
time.
it's just a good show.
It's my first,
oh yeah, and you're doing well.
I was first for a while. Then I was second to last for a good couple of months, and now I'm in 5th place. So that's good. There's only 8 of us playing.
Hey,
so
not bad at all.
So
that sounds almost exactly like the TV show I was just describing. Holy shit!
Yeah, a lot of banter too. So
yeah,
anyway,
have you ever seen it, The League?
I've not seen it. No, is it good? I guess it's a comedy, right?
Yeah, it's a comedy show. It's only tertiarily based around actual fantasy football. That's one of the. It's just like the excuse these people have to get together and shit talk each other. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
if you get a chance, check it out.
Definitely. Is it an old one or is it a new one?
It's old-ish, 2009 to 2013 or some shit off the top of my head.
Hey, lasted a while, didn't it? So anyway,
yeah, it's pretty good.
Welcome everybody. I need to do the intro now. Late intro. Welcome to the Anonymity Tales, episode 1. And with me is Hagbard Celine. He is a YouTuber, as you can probably tell. So, describe what you do, or have done in the past, if you want to.
I've done a lot of stuff on the whole YouTube feminist circle. I've done a lot of BuzzFeed, and then I went into Afrocentrism for a while, and now I'm doing mostly literature stuff.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is your first live stream in a while, right? Or do you do stuff that we're not aware of?
I do. Interesting you should ask. I actually do a Twitch stream 3 times a week now while I give my brother dialysis.
Oh, right. So do you play video games on Twitch, or do you just chat?
Yes. No, I play video games. Mostly, we played RimWorld for a significant period of time when people could come and watch me crash and burn at RimWorld. Because I don't focus well when I stream. I tend to look at chat quite frequently and things like that. So,
yeah, I do
my characters tend to get illnesses and die and shit, and we laugh it off, and I name them after them and stuff. But after that got kind of old, we moved to doing Assassin's Creed Origins. The We Was Kings edition is quite fun.
Although technically,
yeah, everyone seems to be doing Nigerian Knuckles voice the entire time.
Ugandan
and they don't seem to realize why it's funny that meme coincided.
He's Ugandan, remember?
The same place, aren't they?
Well, maybe. Actually, I think Nigeria's in the west and Uganda's in the kind of...
It is, and Nigeria is successful. So
there's
that. Nigeria has some successful portions, and from what I hear, Uganda not so much. I'm sure there are some nice places, but not so much from
Didn't
what I
their
hear.
president, I think it was their president, when Trump said that shithole comment, or alleged to have said it, because he didn't say it in public, did he, as far as I remember. The Ugandan president...
No, he didn't say it in public.
Yeah. I swear, he did say something in public, the Ugandan president. If it was him, he said, you know what? Africa, it is mostly a shithole.
Yeah, weird.
Louis Laveau said that that's quite a brave thing to say. But I guess...
Yeah, it is. But the truth of the matter is I mean, watching people like Conan O'Brien and now, what's his name? The fucking goof on HBO. Talk about they're wearing the Haiti is already great shirts.
I mean, have you seen that picture of the border between them and the Dominican Republic?
Yeah, and this is the thing, is like most people would, at this point in my life, which is getting bizarre, label me as something right-wing. When in reality, I watch nothing but left-wing stuff. I mean, almost entirely. I don't partake in most things. I don't watch like rebel media or any shit like that. I watch like Louis Theroux documentaries, like shit like that. That's my meat and potatoes. Is documentary films is what I love. So I look at stuff like this, and it's like with the CNN article, also with the North Koreans. I love digging into Norks. I mean, North Korea is an amazing place to. All the leaked footage that comes out of there is phenomenal.
North Korea. So what have you seen? That's quite interesting.
There's a guy who was, I believe, an Indonesian diplomat. This is just a guess from his name. And he was allowed access to North Korea more so than most people. I kind of noticed. And he had a whole series on just YouTube. Just if you look it up, he's on YouTube. And he just releases stuff like the morning propaganda, where like at 6 o'clock in the morning, the trucks roll out, and these trucks have loudspeakers on them, and they all start like singing glorious anthem songs and giving out like, you know, reports like of the day and stuff. Like there's a speaker in all the rooms, hotel rooms, private homes, that you can't turn off. You can only turn down.
Oh, this sounds like
and
1984.
It is, and this is what like people are like, oh yeah, but you know, this is a beautiful sign. Like even like how she signed the book, the whole, you know, entry book for the Olympics was something about the joyful unification. When North Koreans hear that, the word unification for them means they win. Literally, in the way that they are taught, unification means the South of Korea finally admits that they should unify under communism.
Wow.
That's what it means. So when she signs the log that way, she's committing an act of propaganda for her people. And if you think it's not going to be reported in that manner back to them, you're fucking delusional.
Did you hear about
these people live in a bubble?
Did you hear about the Olympics? Though they're all competing as one nation, apparently.
Yeah, I know, and I can't fathom that. Aside from, I wish them luck, but it's a bizarre thing to have done.
I can't even fathom how they did it. Like, this is the most isolated country on earth, more so than any other Islamist nation. Even they're not as isolated as North Korea is. And yet, all of a sudden, out of the blue, they're now working together in sports. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean...
It's curious.
Yeah, it is curious. Apparently, the Americans were happy about that, but I'm pretty sure Trump has always said, like, yeah, we need peace over there. Like, I don't think
I don't think anyone wants war with North Korea.
Although I did agree with his rhetoric against him, because that's how you have to deal with those people. Show that you've got the bigger guns, essentially. And the next thing you know, he's like, we need peace, we need peace. Trump was right. And I'm just like, damn, it worked. Because I wasn't expecting it to work.
I've never been particularly concerned about saber rattling from anyone. I also know that not saber rattling back is a propaganda win for those nations. You've seen it over and over.
Russia.
You see it with
how many
Iran.
Times
you see it.
Go on, carry on.
Go on.
I was going to say, how many times...
There's a weird lag here, huh? Go on.
Must be. But like, I was going to say that how many times does Russia accidentally send a bomber over to our airspace and we have to escort them back home?
Yeah, they just got lost. You know how this commie technology is, you know.
Oh,
comrade, it's just a mistake. Do not blame me. You know how we are incompetent and all drunk on vodka. It's fine. Just escort us back.
This suka bled radar did not work.
And it's for sure not probing. That's not a thing that people have done for like 100 years now. It's not probing your global rivals' borders, because we don't do that. That's weird.
Yeah, it's just a fascinating country. And my thing that I've always wondered is when they do reunite, well, for me, I usually think when the South gets the North back, so they are no longer communists and they want to reintegrate. I've always wondered how much of an economic hit are they going to take, because it's not like Germany and East Germany, because I know East Germany was also a poor socialist country, but it wasn't as poor as North Korea. At least in Germany they had food to some extent. In North Korea they have to resort to eating grass and each other in some cases. So I don't know how the South is going to cope with that, because I know they're richer than they were, but they're not the richest country in the world by any means. Hopefully.
Well, I mean, luckily South Korea is an amazing economy, but to say that they could simply, that's the thing about geopolitics that a lot of people ignore, is even in the best case scenario, it's not a good, it's hard to find a good end. So even if you were to say, okay, because I mean, technically these two countries are still at war. And arguably we're still at war with North Korea because all we have is a peace treaty. It's not over. We're just not a ceasefire.
An armistice.
Yeah, exactly. It's not over. The war is technically not over. But it's not easy to just reunify these two nations, even if North Korea were to suddenly be like, okay, we rebelled. We killed the whole, Kim family. We're free now, and we'd like to join the South. Well, you're still talking about 50 or 60 years of a rough time.
Yeah, there needs to
I'm
be...
not saying that even... yeah, I mean, even the South Koreans, I'm not saying that they wouldn't shoulder that wouldn't be something they're willing to do. I speak to a lot of South Koreans, and they're kind of open to the idea of, yeah, of course it'll be hard. No one's under any delusions that it would be easy. But what could possibly be worse than we currently live under the concept that there's a lunatic that lives just north of our border who at any time could decide that the conspiracy's up. And start shooting shit. And I mean, they have artillery batteries set up to just hammer Seoul, and it would be immediate. I mean, there's almost nothing you can do to stop incoming artillery shells in mass.
I'd say that's far more effective than a nuke, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is the range isn't that far. A lot of people don't understand how good modern artillery is, how far it can go.
Even their communist artillery is good. To be fair.
And how small the Korean peninsula is. It's not very fucking big.
And it's no coincidence that the Japanese found it easy to conquer. But also, there's another thing. There's going to be generations of deprogramming that's going to be needed if this does happen.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I mean, you're talking about... I mean, there would be, and this is just reality, I don't think there's ever been the fall of a dictatorship or some sort of totalitarian control without... And this is just me looking at it from the angles that I always look at it from. People are going to be killed for going along to get along as well. Anybody who was part of the inner circle is for sure going to be tortured and killed in the street, more than likely. That tends to be how this ends.
Mob rule.
Yeah, that tends to be how this ends for a bit.
Oh, by the way...
it's never pretty, it's never clean.
Yeah, it's not. Also, NC Clark says North Korea needs StarCraft 2.
Awesome. It did help South Korea.
It did, yeah. Weren't they like a right-wing dictatorship for a while? Weren't they? I think I remember reading that up. Kind of like Taiwan.
In South Korea?
Yeah, weren't they? At some point, there was some kind of authoritarian
if you
government.
if you go back and look, especially during the Korean War, we had the same problem with during Vietnam.
Yeah,
where our ally government was kind of like, seriously, you're kind of acting like a corrupted banana republic and not helping us, right? Like this isn't, you're not helping do the whole we're doing better than the North thing, right?
The Vietnam War is always fascinating because it's like the war where the communists won and the Americans actually lost. It's one of the very few wars you've actually lost, and the fact that the South Vietnamese just couldn't defend themselves once you left. Despite the fact that you bankrolled them, gave them all the training and the equipment, North Vietnamese just
often the
steamrolled them.
AVN didn't want to.
Didn't even
the truth of the matter is, often the AVN didn't want to. As I said, if you are defending a government that is currently also fucking you over, it makes it hard. when you're defending essentially a small banana republic fucking dictator style guy in the South, and then a northern communist, I mean, Ho Chi Minh, for all his flaws, used communism. He didn't give a shit. He would have taken support from anyone. That's the real fact about Ho Chi Minh that a lot of people ignore.
It was an attempt to reunify his country, to gain independence like everywhere else, essentially.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, he would have taken aid from anyone. His frustration, ironically, was with the United States not backing him. If you look into it, Ho Chi Minh was furious. He approached the United States.
I think he was rejected, like some kind of election, wasn't he? Like,
I don't know the specific details. I just know that in the broad scope of things.
Because remember, both sides.
Because he's like, I'm fighting for my liberation. You're the liberty people. Why are you saying don't do it? I don't understand. So then he went to who would fund him. Frankly, that's all it was. Ho Chi Minh was a pragmatist. And unfortunately, it's really, really hard to fight a land war anywhere in Asia. Doesn't matter where it is. No one wants a land war in Asia, as the old joke goes.
Do you reckon the longer it went on, the more he believed in it?
Yeah. He's an interesting character. I'm not saying he's a good guy, but he just did exactly what he wanted to do.
It sounds
which
like
is what some people do.
A pragmatist, almost like a pragmatic nationalist, if that's a thing.
Yeah, that's what he was. He didn't really give a shit who helped him. He really didn't. He didn't care. He just wanted someone to be like, okay, fine, we'll give you money to push off whoever it is that's ruling you that isn't the Vietnamese.
In the end, it was just a proxy. Well, not quite a proxy war, but because America was down there on the ground.
It became a proxy war.
Yeah, and I reckon he must have known that to some extent, that he was becoming a proxy of the Russians. Oh,
certainly, but that's like I said, for him, it was just whoever would give me the money.
A means to an end. And it's not,
who will send me the most AK-47s or other ammunition? I don't care. I need munitions. That's what I'm concerned about. Munitions and food.
So one of the things that I like to ask on this podcast, because I always have a few questions that I think about, and there's some that I'd like to ask pretty much everybody, is what made you do this? What made you decide YouTube is the place that I want to be on and to do the things that I want to do? So, like, what fascinates you about?
Equal parts. Honestly, it has to be equal parts desire to speak, boredom, frustration. You have to have time. That's the thing that's the real truth is. I mean, when I started this channel, I had a huge block of about 5 hours every evening where I would just sit, hang out, and do whatever I wanted to do. And I decided one day to respond to some of the videos that I saw. Because I was already a viewer of YouTube. I already watched all kinds of different people. I went to college for editing. So I did some video editing in my youth. It had been, almost a decade by the time I started this, before since I'd done anything. But that's what I started just going, let's just use this to get your chops together.
So your earliest stuff, what was that influenced by? Like, what were you wanting to talk about at the time?
My very first video is about, and it was just because I found it hilarious. Truth be told, that's the first video I ever made. I did legitimately just make drunk. I just got drunk and made a video. And it is about hair. And it's the whole, when it was 2015, when there was the whole black women hair, dreadlocks, putting things in your hair thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, there was that whole madness. And basically it was the concept that any one culture has some weird form of ownership over stylizing your hair. I honestly could not wrap my head around someone and then that person being given a platform to unanimous nods about it. And this is a major platform. It was some news network. And they were just like, yeah, that's right, you go. And it's like, this is ridiculous. You have to know how silly this sounds.
It sounds like BuzzFeed, but I don't think it was BuzzFeed at the time, although they jumped on it, maybe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't even think I knew at the time, and this is the truth that a lot of people don't realize. Like, I've been called like a 4chaner. I've never been on 4chan in my entire life.
I've been on it, but I've never used it, if you know what I mean. Like, I just browse
I don't even
once or twice.
I don't even know what Reddit is. Like, I don't when all this was happening, I was out living a very, very fucked up life when the internet was like taking off and like social media was a thing.
Hmm.
I was too busy doing bad shit with my friends. So I wasn't really paying attention to any of this. I found it all kind of boring and passe. I didn't understand how I could make any money from it by selling drugs, so I'm not sure why it would have interested me.
For somebody who could be considered a millennial, quote unquote, you're very old-fashioned in that way.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, to be honest, I was kind of similar a little bit, but I was more into just watching music videos really, or occasionally reading the odd article or coming across an odd video. But other than that, I was doing what you were doing, but a lot more safer and not
I mean,
not illegal.
I mean, interestingly,
illegal.
interestingly, my boss at the time, we were working together at a TV station, and he kind of ran the place, and he told me about Sargon and a bunch of these other YouTubers and said, you might want to check them out. You kind of have some interesting talking points. And I've always been outspoken. I've never had a problem with that. As a matter of fact, more I've had a problem with being outspoken as in I get in a lot of trouble. Often. It's not an infrequent experience for me to say something that even I didn't, it's not, it's not edgy internet kid syndrome. I've been like this since I was about 12. Since I started looking around and going, so what's up with all this? So what's going on with all this shit that I'm starting to notice a pattern of? Are we okay with this? Is this what we're doing? Like, that was about the time I started asking uncomfortable questions to adults at the time. And now I'm fucking going on 30, and I'm still asking questions that even when I don't realize it, people are like, dude, you can't say that. You absolutely can't say that.
Well, technically you can, by law.
Yeah. Yeah, as I've joked, I'm lucky. I live in the United States of America, which is the country where I have the God-given right to be this wrong, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm allowed to be wrong. If I'm wrong, you have to tell me how I'm wrong. I think you're wrong, and I believe you have the God-given right to be this wrong. I'm not saying you should be arrested. No BuzzFeed writer should be arrested for being an idiot. There's plenty of morons.
I think as Jordan Peterson would say, suck it up, bucko. I don't know if you ever.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, that's another thing. I've actually only seen Jordan Peterson in clips. I've never sat down and actually listened to an entire Jordan Peterson lecture.
I actually haven't either. I've seen bits and pieces of his lectures, and they're always interesting when he's not talking about religion.
Yeah, and well, and I don't care about that. The truth of the matter is, I'm not super concerned about anyone's religious preference. I've had the same stance about this, and it's the same thing that drew me to, I guess, arguing against the current political edge. I don't give a shit what you do. I don't give a shit about any of it. I don't give a shit about transgender people doing what they do. I don't give a shit about homosexuals. I don't give a shit about anything. Do what you do. I really don't care. As a matter of fact, I'm a drug legalization kind of person. That's who I am. I don't give a shit. Do what you do. But the minute that you come to me and tell me what I need to do, we have to have a discussion as to why you think you can impose that on me. Whatever it is, shy of, the the givens. I mean, don't rape, don't murder, don't rob. I mean, these are things that all societies can agree on, as they said in Boondock Saints. These are basic rules that all societies agree on. But other than that, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I don't understand why people are bothering me. And that's what first got me involved, is someone coming to me and saying, you know what you should do? I haven't heard that since I left church. So why don't you tell me what I should do? Please explain to me what is best for me. Please, that's the greatest thing on earth for me. That's what I love the most, is when someone tells me what I should do for me. Like, it's retarded. I can't stand that kind of thinking. It's moral busybodyism. And ironically, that's the part of the left I came from, is the guys who are going, moral busybodies are annoying, right? Like, really obnoxious and not really functional.
That's kind of my background as well, kind of. At least a British equivalent of what that would be. So,
yeah.
Some of the things you've touched upon in your channel, which I really enjoyed, was not just the political crazes, although there were many of them, but it's just the normal everyday lolcows, like a certain Pacific Ocean line. Was that his actual name?
Oh, absolutely.
Pacific.
I don't know his actual name. He went by Pacific Ocean Liner, but he went by Pacific something else before. because he went to the South Pacific to live in like Thailand or something.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
to before we get into it, could you tell people who he is, because they might not understand who we're talking about?
He's a weird old YouTuber that is gone now. I was just fucking with him. Really, that's all it was. I was just fucking with him. It was literally on a Saturday night. I would hit record, crack a beer, and start talking shit about his video. I didn't take it seriously at all. It was just for fun. And he was just... Have you ever seen someone whose body language tells you that they're not well? Like, this person's fucked up. This guy... And I would have probably left him alone if it weren't for the fact that it was terrifying to me that he was allowed to be a bus driver. That was one of my major focuses, is that he drives fucking kids around. This lunatic. Absolute abject madman.
So, like, what was the thing about Thailand again? What did he I think he met a girl, didn't he? And he...
Okay, no. Let's clarify. He hated white women. He hated them. He thought they were all uppity bitches. That was his... And this is... I had no idea what any... I wouldn't have even known to say, like, oh, yeah, he's, you know, some fucking, you know, weirdo MGTOW. Or I wouldn't have even known these terms. He's just a lunatic. He just was probably deeply damaged by his mother, by the way he describes her, and the way he describes punishments that were meted out to him by her. So he already started with that bias, and he feels like every white woman he meets judges him. And he feels like every black woman he meets is his marm. So, like, you know, I don't know if you've ever interacted with especially Southern black middle-aged women. They're very warm. They're very warm. They tend to be warm and inviting, especially in public settings. Especially,
the closest I've gotten is Jamaican women. At least
you're probably get a similar feel. Yeah, you'll probably get a very similar feel.
I was looked after by one for many years as a kid, so yeah.
Yeah, so you understand. It's not. I don't know. I'm not trying to like generalize. Of course, there are fat, bitchy ones too. I mean, I'm just saying that they tend, especially in public settings, like when they're working for a school, to be very open, warm, inviting, smiley. He kind of really took to that, and now like really tries to get all of his like. He acts like a gay man in every mannerism humanly possible, including like his sassy level. You know what I mean? So he tends towards hanging out with overweight middle-aged black women that are sassy, and they give him life advice that's pretty fucking terrible. But beyond that, he became obsessed with the concept that, especially, and this is the same thing Tariq says, so let's be clear, this isn't a novel realization, especially Southeast Asians, especially Taiwanese and Cambodians, with a little bit of money, you might be able to wife one. That's basically what his conclusion was. So I'm going to go to one of these regions with my entire life savings of like $28,000 and rent a bungalow by the beach and try and wife me an Asian. And he did.
He did, yeah, somehow.
And she took him for that whole $20,000 and then left. And then he came home broke, and he lives with his parents and drives a bus in like Minnesota or something. It's a sad story.
It is quite sad.
But he's an angry, unpleasant little man. Like, and I mean, like, have you ever seen the documentary / whatever, Shut Up Little Man?
I've not seen that one.
If you get a chance, check it out. It's literally about living next to loud neighbors that argue drunkenly all day. He's that kind of fucking weird, where it's like once you find it, once you've heard it, you're like, I can't unsee this and I can't stop. Like,
I remember like the wig and the chain, and he's like, this guy is like a amalgamation of all these different basement dwelling stereotypes. So you've got the chain, which is kind of like a, well, he looked like he was trying to be gangster, but like a nerdy one, like the white and nerdy.
Yeah,
type
oddly
character.
skinny, school shooter haircut.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, shirtless often, in
Ginger.
closets. Sniffed did this thing a lot. Like way too much. Like way too much. One time, once.
No jump cuts, guys, by the way.
No, and once he would excuse it by saying that he had a cold. And then it would just like be like, well, then what about the other 157 videos while you're doing it, dude?
It's cocaine, has to be.
Like, it's not. No. This guy for sure didn't do drugs. This is crazy. This I know crazy. This is crazy. This guy's too scared to do drugs. He's the type that was like an anti-drinking,
Oh
anti-cigarette.
yeah,
Like
he was.
he
Yeah.
went on a whole half an hour diatribe about his mom and his dad who smoked in the car.
But my thing would be like, yeah, he says that, but acting on it is very different. Like, do as I
That's
say,
true.
not as I do. But like,
That's true.
I just, it's like he's everything that you don't want to be, and it's everything that you've ever heard about men like him on the internet. He is that. He is the person that all these stereotypes coalesce into one being, and that's him. And what do you think's wrong
Absolutely.
with it?
Yeah,
Do
he
you
is
think he's
all of the
schizophrenic?
things. And it's
Do you think he's
no, no, he's not that fucked up. He's not he or I would have walked away. He's too linear. He doesn't do the kind of cognitive leaps you expect from schizoids or schizotybials even. He's not that kind of fucked up.
What would you
He's
say?
just fucked up. Emotionally disturbed. He's fucked up. He is the kind of fucked up humans get when you don't raise them right. That's all he is. He's just but he does these weird ticks where like he puts his hand on the back of his head with like a little claw and like wipes forward. Like he has these weird little like nervous ticks and shit. He's just a weird individual. And it was just goofing off. If he had not addressed me, I would have made the one video about his lunacy I found and walked the fuck away like I do every other time. I don't sit here and get into fucking spam wars with people. I don't sit here and make a video about the same person 100 times. That's not my thing. I would have just walked away. But it wasn't just that he made a video. I've had several people, including these insane fucking Afrocentrics, make response videos. And I just giggle and move on. I'm not responding to your insane response video. That's just, I do this for fun, sir. You're a lunatic. I had my fun. I played with my toy, and I'm now done. Have a good day. But the level of madness he came back with, and the level of fury, I mean, just blind fury that first response video was. And then like within 11 minutes, there was another video out about me. And it was like, my God, man, how can I not?
How did he
How do I
find
walk
you?
away?
Did your fans
I
like?
have no idea. I don't remember if this was when I was still doing the thing where when I made a response to an actual individual, I would leave a link to the video in their comments. I may have done that because I used to do that quite frequently. Because I didn't want to have them feel like, I mean, as strange as it sounds, I was talking shit behind their back. I mean, it just felt weird to not be like, by the way, I made a response, I used your video. If you have a problem, let me know and I'll take it down. That kind of thing. Often they were, I mean, I had several people that were the most pleasant. They were like, yeah, you're an asshole, but that was funny. Have a good day. Neat. Have a good one. At least you understand that this isn't from some weird, obsessive place and it's just a guy goofing off on the internet, because that's all it ever was. It's just me goofing off on the fucking internet and taking swipes at people, which is
Did you ever find somebody else like him? Like, did you respond to anybody else?
No. I've the only other thing I've ever gotten was the makeup girl, who gave me my first ever real strike.
Wait, was she the one that got confused about recessive genes and dominant genes, or is that somebody else?
No, that's the black chick, right?
Oh, I thought.
No, I'm thinking about, there was this white makeup girl who I don't even remember. I have the video on a hard drive that has some 200 gigs of shit on it I need to delete.
Yeah,
but I haven't dug through it to find this particular one. But it was called like feminist regurgitation, and it was literally all the video was saying, listen, this is making its rounds like there's a script. I said, there are video after video after video with just these 5 fucking talking points. And that's all I was saying. That's basically all the video was me pointing out that, look, here's one I found last week. Here's one that this guy did this with, taken down. Because she was so upset that I would make a video about her at all. I didn't even consider it that big of a deal. But then she made her own response video to me, and like, it was bizarre. It was like, that's when I was like, okay, it might be time to move to something else, because this was just like that bizarre bedroom feminist type shit.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I think I have to move away from that.
So what makes you so fascinated with black nationalists as opposed to white nationalists, or hell, even something as obscure as Asian nationalists or Hispanic nationalists? What is it about Afrocentrism that, I mean, it doesn't appeal to you politically, but like you're interested
the
in
myths.
it?
Honestly, it's the myths. most of the, if you will, people that I've met that were in less less pleasant settings, that were, let's say, a Hispanic guy who strongly believed in and would talk about the concept of Reconquista in the southwestern portion of the United States. There's no myth there. There's nothing for me to talk about. But yeah, he's just a mad guy. It's like, that's like if there were a Native American supremacist who said they were going to take the land back from the whites in America. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You don't need myth to support your anger. I know where you're coming from. It's fine.
There's a logic there,
but
to some degree. You know what I mean?
There's something there. Exactly. I can understand where you're coming from. But the Afrocentrics come from such an insane angle. And they tend to believe in some of the most bizarre, out there interpretations of the Bible or the Quran or New Ageism or reading of hieroglyphs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's insane.
It's funny.
The level of madness and myth that these people will go to justify it is like my favorite. The peak I think I found was the Twin Sons lunatics.
Were they the ones who would like
the
debate
guys
each
who,
other, like a rap battle?
Yeah, kinda. They would do this. They were like, one guy would give a presentation and then people would call out from the audience. It was very bizarre. But this was the one where he was talking about how the our sun was actually in a wide loop binary system with another sun.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, and this other sun was going to come closer again, and when it did, everyone who wasn't black essentially wouldn't have the pigmentation to survive under this twin sun system.
But neither was black
and
people.
That's when also no. Also, this is when the melanin would have enough UV to activate their superpowers. And he also advocated that currently black people should never wear condoms or wear sheepskin or the natural condoms.
Oh yeah,
the ones that are made of a gut of an animal.
I think it's leather or something like that.
And then not wear shoes that were made by major manufacturers because the rubber disconnected you from the electric current of the earth. Where else do you find that?
I always...
I mean, the closest you get to that with white nationalists is the Vril Society or some of the Aryan fucking alien people. But it's so quick. Once you've seen one, that's it. It's the black nationalists that have formed like 100 different mythologies that all compete with each other.
Some of it is kind of like Scientology with, you know, the alien races and stuff like that. And like, is it the Xenu? I'm kind of blanking on it.
For them, no.
But L. Ron Hubbard's whole universe, some of their thing,
for them
is like that. And, like they've got loads of different L. Ron Hubbards or something. It's like, Jesus Christ.
It's absolutely like that. And I mean, it's things like there was another one that was black women are black holes. Black holes are the vaginas of black women giving birth to universes because black people are universes in themselves. I mean, shit like that. I can't find that anywhere else. I can't go anywhere else and find that kind of crazy.
You know what would be funny? You could actually twist their words to say, wait, you're calling that girl a hole? Wow, that's sexist of you. Because you know hole can mean like whore or something, whatever it means. I know that's an Americanism. Yeah, I just found it stunning. The depths, the slave ships. There's another one. The show me a slave ship people. Those are my favorite. What do they do?
They're
show me a slave ship.
There was no slavery. There was no slavery. The slave trade is a myth. The Atlantic slave trade is a myth.
What, black people saying this?
Black people, yeah.
What?
The Atlantic slave trade is a myth that was invented by white people to validate enslaving the already existent black populations in America, which we called Native Americans at the time, or Moorish colonists in the Southwest, or Southeast. Mind you, there was a small Moor colony in the southeast of the United States. It was mainly Spaniards and fucking North Africans, but it did exist. They are basing this on that one shred of reality. And then by believing that because early explorers described the Native Americans as being darker skinned, they were obviously African.
So why do you think they do this? They create all these mythologies.
I think it really is a sense of inferiority. I really do. And one of the reasons I stopped doing those
Hmm.
was I found a guy called Pharaoh Allah and another guy who was called Polite.
Hmm.
And I watched a little of their stuff and then realized, oh, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. These people are fucked up. This guy really is not well.
Hmm.
And I mean, I don't think many of them are. I don't think, obviously they're not. But at some point, I'm not accomplishing anything by doing it. I was having fun. And that kind of lost its taste. You know what I mean? It's like any
Yeah.
other thing. It kind of got dull.
Yeah, it's like you can obviously see the inferiority complex. You can see that they're trying to fill a gap that isn't really there. There is no gap. Like, they have a history, they have a culture
Yeah.
that they should be proud of to some extent. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
exactly in the best of conditions right now, but there is something way in the past, and even now, with the amount of
Well,
millionaires that are being,
you would be so much better off
hmm,
focusing the energy you've
hmm,
put into creating this myth into your community
hmm.
directly
I
and
mean,
actually just I mean, it's a yearning. A lot of it I've noticed is stuff like they're reaching to the past.
hmm,
It's stuff like the "We Was Kings" thing is not a meme. There are people that legitimately believe that the pyramids were based on what is it? What's the Southwest? Not anyway. Was based on an old like Ethiopian design, and it's all actually sub-Saharan Africans. And I mean, there's a whole set of people that believe that that is intentionally being hidden to deny black people their culture.
it's not being hidden, and there were actually African kingdoms that did kind of make their own pyramids. I
Yeah,
think
the
that was in the
Nairobi,
west.
right?
Yeah, Nairobi, maybe
Yeah.
Benin.
Like I said, that was the word I was struggling
I mean,
for. I've
like,
got all kinds of shit bouncing around.
I think it was yeah, it was Benin, where it was described as having streets. I mean, they're not like European streets at the time, but they were city planners, as close as you could
Yeah.
get to medieval Africa. I mean, they weren't, some African kingdoms, as much as the alt-right would like to say, they weren't that far off the Renaissance. I mean, they were a good 200 years before them, but they weren't all just a bunch of mindless savages. There
No,
was
no,
some
I mean,
like,
but that's not
hmm,
that's not even the issue. The
I know,
issue
yeah, yeah.
is their desire
Hmm,
for reaching past all that.
hmm. Well, my
I,
thing,
there- it's
well, my,
it's
sorry, go on.
it's just such a bizarre thing because like if it's not that
Hmm.
they're reaching towards being Native Americans,
I know, that's so
and the
stupid.
whole logic to that I can find, and if you actually dig deep enough,
Hmm,
is that we in the United States of America give special privileges to the Native Americans
hmm,
insofar as they're allowed to govern themselves. So that's the basis for that.
hmm.
So now you see what they're trying to do is like, well, if we say we're a tribe of Native Americans that were dispossessed and lied about, and we petition the government, then the government has to give us these same rights.
Hmm.
And then they can't bother us. And they believe that they can form a unified African nation somewhere in the United States.
Well, I was trying to say that nobody's hiding that history from them, and some of them are actually related to those people who may have been captured or sent over or whatever happened. So there's really nobody. There's no big conspiracy against them, and it's just such a shame because it's obvious there's some very creative minds in those communities that could be, maybe doing better work in, as you said, their communities. They could be making like great novels or artwork or something that can
Well, and
enrich cultures, isn't it?
I've actually reached out to several of these people after I lost my taste for making just response videos to them.
Mm.
Especially, like I said, Pharaoh Allah is one that he's a very young man. I think he's like 22 now. Been to prison. His mom was a crackhead. If I'm getting his story correct, he like lost contact with her and then met her again like 10 years later on the street while she was like trying to score freebase.
Wow.
Rough life.
Hmm.
But it's almost a weird defense mechanism for him because he's the black woman is God guy. I don't know if you've ever seen
Yeah,
that,
I've
or he
seen that,
repeats
yeah.
it a lot.
Hmm.
And it's clearly in defense of his mother. You can almost I've devoted more time than I should admit to having done so to listening to his videos. After a certain period of time, it's very clear that there's something to psychoanalysis when they say takes listening long enough. You just listen to someone's thoughts and just stream of consciousness long enough, and you'll notice some patterns. And with him, it all goes back to his mother, 100% of the time. So then his black woman is God thing makes sense. It's a defense mechanism so that he can say his mother was damaged by society and denied her godhead.
Oh, by the way,
that's what he's saying.
Carlos, who's one of my long-time subscribers, says that Portugal started the Atlantic slave trade, which is technically true.
I believe that.
Yeah.
And I believe that what is the country that we bought them from actually has already, I mean, they've even admitted, yeah, it happened and we helped.
Well,
and we're sorry.
There's a few countries, technically.
I know, I'm trying to remember the one that was very famously has a whole, like, monument to it and stuff, and they're like, Ghana? Yeah, we fucked it.
Maybe?
Probably. Again, so much of this I just get through, where I'm like, okay, I'll research the points I actually want to make, but mostly I just go, okay, yeah, great, you're clearly insane.
So
often it's so out there that I don't even. I mean, it's stuff like they believe that the Washington Monument was stolen from Egypt.
I mean, it is technically in that kind of architecture. If you think
yeah, yes, but they believe it is actually an Egyptian statue. They think that we stole it and that we're using it on a PowerPoint on the ley lines to continue to hold down them using the ancient African technology they stole.
What's ironic is they're appropriating other people's ideas. So the Quran, that's an Arabic thing. Ley lines, isn't that a British thing? Ancient Britain?
I am pretty sure that is an occult practice from Victorian history, yes. I'm not sure where it originated, but it's definitely a Victorian culture thing.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, they can take that and do whatever they want with it, you know? I mean, it is all hogwash, most of it, apart from the history.
Yeah.
But, like, even then, like, go ahead, have fun with it, just don't present it as facts, but sadly they do. But anyway.
Yeah, like I said, mostly it was just entertainment. But like I said, I've reached out to several of them to literally be like, I'd like to have a conversation with you straight up. None of this. Ironically, what we're seeing now, and this is just an observation from me, with the whole internet blood sports culture, isn't new. It's just new to this. If you want to see some long-running internet blood sports, go watch things like Tommy Sotomayor having a debate with Polite, or Brother Polite or the other guy having a conversation with someone that they frame as a white nationalist that's just a white guy from the Midwest. Or these are internet blood sports. They're not making points. There's no argument often during these back and forths. It's point scoring.
I would say that. It's just. Do you remember the Ponage Olympics from the atheist days?
No.
That was a thing.
No, I probably wasn't involved.
I wasn't really involved, but I know of it, and I've seen a few of the old videos from a long time ago. It was like I think it was a thing that switched hands several times, but the most famous person who ran it was Dick Coughlin. It was like a competition where atheists, I don't know if religious people were invited. I think they may have been. I don't know, but I know it was a mostly atheist thing. Would respond to certain videos by creationists, you know, the usual shtick, and then whoever did the most ponage-based video, whoever did the best one, wins. That's a kind of blood sport, even if it is one-sided, but it's kind of like, you know, the Romans pitting tied-up Christians to a lion, essentially. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But it's the concept isn't...
I just don't understand it.
I agree with you on
that. It's been good fun sometimes, but after a certain point, it definitely feels just kind of like, oh, okay, so we're in the Jerry Springer phase.
That's exactly what it is. That's what it feels like. It's real life Jerry Springer, and it's not.
Hey, I mean, it's gonna make a handful of people a lot of fucking money.
Exactly.
So.
But the thing is, it's like, at least with Jerry Springer, I can kind of imagine it's fake. But with some of the things I've seen and heard, like, I can't believe, one, Andy Waskey can't read, and two, Coach Red Pill had the gall to say what he said about the fraud. Oh my god.
I don't know. I honestly don't. I know very little about the Coach Red Pill thing. The only thing I really know about Coach Red Pill is that I don't check my YouTube messages frequently enough, because I for sure got messaged from him for conversations that I'm absolutely not going to do.
I don't want to get into it, but like, you know, he's not an angel, guys. But anyway, here's a question that I wanted to ask you. Who influenced you, YouTube wise?
YouTube wise, in more modern stuff, I'd have to say Vernaculus. I was always a huge fan of Vernaculus, but I didn't put the time that he put into him until recently. Other than that, I mean, it was early shouty Sargon.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah, there was some of that. Jim, back in his Internet Aristocrat videos
when he had a spine.
Yeah, that was my speed. That's what I was most influenced by, I'd say. But I mean, most of that's either died off or I simply don't. I mean, I like Jim's videos. His modern stuff is great. I still watch like This Week in Stupid, that kind of stuff. So it's not like I've stopped watching that entirely, but most of my contents, that I watch has moved far, far away from any of that. As soon as I started making it, really, it started really falling off of my view list.
We're all changing.
As soon as you start, yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's conscious or unconscious or it's both. I don't know about you. I'd say from what I've seen from your content, it's a conscious change all the time. Just, you know, just to do different things and talk about loads of things, not to do one thing. And I think that's what I've been trying to do with this new channel, to do different things. And I think that's how a channel survives. I mean, that's why PewDiePie's got 60 million subs, because he can do many different things and people gravitate towards it because he does it well enough. I don't know if you agree with that.
I honestly, I honestly have to admit I have never watched PewDiePie.
Well, it's more the concept behind it than necessarily his videos. You know, like just changing things up every now and then, or adding something to the old stuff.
Yeah, if you don't constantly evolve, then you're gonna pigeonhole yourself, and that's mainly what I've tried to avoid, is being deeply pigeonholed into one thing.
Oh, I definitely got pigeonholed at one point, but I got out of it. So, like,
yeah, I watched that happen. I watched you go, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. It was like, hey, there you go. Another person goes, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just not.
Well, I never said that I wouldn't do it. I just needed a change. And I saw it was negatively affecting everything, and I wasn't liking it. So I thought, right, time to take a drastic action, because that's what I do. It's working out in the end. But anyway, like, do you watch anybody recently, like any new YouTubers, or do you keep to the same subscriber base?
Mostly what I watch now is a channel called Townsend and Sons. That's one of my major. I watch everything they produce. I watch Chef John videos. I watch... I mean, I've really moved away from almost anything that isn't almost exclusively educational.
Yeah.
As strange as that sounds. I watch gaming videos still. That's a thing I do. I actually just found a YouTuber called Oxhorn that does Fallout mythology or Fallout lore.
Oh, kind of like
that's been fairly amusing.
Like what he does.
Like who?
Arch Warhammer, one of Sargon's friends.
Never seen it. If you describe it really quick,
he basically, well, he has two channels. His main channel deals with games and Warhammer in particular, although he does Total War as well. That's actually where he started. So he just talks about lore and stuff like that and the community.
Yeah.
It's just the same as that.
Yeah, he does mostly playthroughs and then describes what's happening, like, you know, in the Fallout universe. Often in 3, he has to go to the actual game guide because, well, funding for 3 wasn't great. So,
do you mean like the funding of the actual budget of the game?
Yeah, that was basically a fan made game.
I didn't know that. I thought Bethesda just like took it out of their own pockets and gave us a game essentially.
Yeah, Fallout 3 was, if I recall correctly, was really just an effort of some real big fans that wanted to bring Fallout back.
What was the channel called? Some of the chat wants to know. Of the Fallout
Which
lore
one?
guy.
Oxhorn?
Oxhorn, that's
Oxhorn.
it.
Yeah, he has so many fucking videos. We're talking, as he joked, he recently did a video where he showed his characters he has for one of them, and I think one of them has like 14,000 hours on it.
There are 6 messages in box.
And he was like, if I didn't do this for a living, I'd be embarrassed. I'm like, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's a lot, dude. 14,000 hours on a game's a lot, or some insane number.
So would you ever do something like that? Talk about lore?
I've considered it. But a lot of the games that I like are not lore heavy.
Yeah. Like
Stuff
RimWorld.
like I don't know if there's a whole lot of RimWorld. RimWorld you kind of make your own lore for, or Assassin's Creed I have no interest in. Assassin's Creed I'm playing purely to laugh, and it has been some fucking giggles.
So what's
It has been some really goofy voice acting, some really over the top fucking attempts at social commentary, but it's fun.
Did they actually get any history right? Because apparently they'd got some of it right. Like they weren't entirely Kangs. I mean, the main character looks pretty Egyptian for the time.
Yeah, no, it's not entirely like that, but there's stuff like one of the first guys you run into, who's your old comrade, I believe, when you get to Alexandria. But to be honest, it's all kind of murky for me because I've played it in huge chunks and not really paid attention. But he meets his old friend. This scene's clear, and I believe most people have seen it. And he talks about how he took a Greek name, and he's basically sold out his tribe, and he's given into the Greek gods and all this. So it's got some
that's interesting,
really bizarrely heavy-handed stuff that, even if culturally accurate, which it probably was, there's a process called Hellenization that happens when the Greeks show up, and that is one of the things that happens. So yeah, I'm certain that for people who would come in from the outer tribes and they'd want to more Hellenize to the culture, they'd want to join and actually be part of Greek culture as opposed to their tribal culture. That was a distinct possibility, but they frame it from our character's perspective as extremely negative. It's clear that he does not approve.
I mean, to be honest, there wasn't really much of a difference between Greek and Egyptian cultures. Well, there was a difference, but not too much because they were very advanced for their time. And, I mean, there's a reason why I guess the Ptolemies could adapt so quickly to it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's honestly a lot of it's, I mean, some of it's goofy. And this is going to sound petty, but I'm obsessed with the fact that I can walk around in this culture of extremely Hellenized Alexandria, and I'm in this bizarre pharaoh garb with an eagle face thing with no shoes on. I don't know why this bothers me, but the fact that he does not wear shoes really annoys me.
Well, they wouldn't have at the time.
It's probably accurate, but it annoys me. So
he probably should be wearing shoes if he's doing parkour. At the very least, sandals.
Yeah. I mean, everyone else is wearing sandals. I just constantly feel like I'm either over or underdressed, depending on the situation. But it's honestly an okay game. It's just like a lot of the kickback that happened for Mafia 3.
Oh, Mafia 3, I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of that is totally unjustified, truth be told. It's a perfectly playable game. It's not game of the year. It's never going to be the best game. But unless you're actually deeply offended at killing a biker, white nationalist, or KKK gang in a game, it shouldn't really bother you. Truth be told, it really, there's nothing besides that. And your character isn't like a fucking a Black Panther character. He's not a blaxploitation-y Black Panther character who's constantly about fucking fighting a man.
Yeah.
He works with mafiosis and rednecks, and he doesn't give a shit any more than you should. That's what his thing is. So really, a lot of the backlash was undeserved, and my only anger was I prefer playing pre-19, let's say 58.
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
Just because I like the cars and shit. I just like the cars and shit. If I'm going to be honest, it's 100% that. I like the atmosphere. I like the, jazz club feel. I like the old gangster feel. That's why I played Mafia games. Other than that, I don't care. It just felt like an old GTA game. It felt like a GTA game based in the 1960s. So if that bothers you, then that should be your main complaint of the game. Everything else, frankly, should be secondary.
I would have said the second Wolfenstein game was very heavy-handed in its politics. Like the first one was fine. Like they didn't push anything down your throat. It was just kill the Nazis with a decent story. Like, it was a surprisingly decent story and very good voice acting. I mean, the voice acting is still good.
Yeah,
but then they
I mean, the truth of the matter is, and I've joked with people, it's like Black Panther. If you're mad at Black Panther, your main argument right now should be the reactions to it are fucking hilarious. If you can look at these reactions and not realize why they're unhealthy, there's something broken in you. Because there are a lot of really unhealthy reactions to a non-existent place in a comic book movie. I mean, just deeply unhealthy reactions.
Did you see this one thing that was floating around on Twitter that this was it a woman or a man, whoever it was, they said that look at this old white guy, what was he doing in this film? Like, he's not meant to be in there. This is about black people.
Yeah.
It was Stan Lee who created the character, well, co-created.
I believe I'm not sold that wasn't intentionally done. That sounds like something I would do.
Yeah,
frankly,
probably.
That sounds like a post I would have made just to fuck with people because it's hilarious. Because you know someone's going to say it unironically. I mean, it's just reality now. So it's hard to say whether that particular one was real or not. But there were for sure people complaining that I saw that I believe 10% of the cast is indeed non-black. And they're even including the South Korea scene. So they're not happy the Asians are in it. They're like, come on now, this is supposed to be a black movie. Like, don't do this. Please don't. It's just sad. And otherwise, you should just be annoyed they're coming out with another goddamn comic book movie.
Exactly.
If you're not tired of comic book movies by now, you're insane. They're fucking awful. They're terrible movies. They are not good. You have to recognize they are fundamentally not good movies.
I think at this point
they are flash. They are flash well over substance. If you're one of the people who's like, yo, I really like the new Avengers flick, but Transformers is gay, that's entirely because of your nostalgia factor. That is 100% your nostalgia for these characters and your love of the universe. Other than that, they're the same goddamn thing.
Star Wars.
They're flash over substance 100%.
I just watched The Last Jedi. I don't know if you saw on Twitter that I said it was a waste of time. I mean, I don't know what to think about it, man. I mean, I haven't had an interest in Star Wars movies since the second sequel movie set came out in the early 2000s. The prequels.
I went and saw the first one. Yeah, the prequels. I went and saw the first one, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but okay. I went and saw the second one and went, all right, this is bad. This is just bad. This is just fucking bad. And it's just like the Matrix series. I did the same thing. The Matrix, cool. Went and saw it in theaters, enjoyed it. Went and saw the second one in theaters and went, I will fucking get the third one for free. There's absolutely no way I'm giving them any more money for this.
Tell you what,
if I want to see it, I will Mystery Science Theater with me and my friends for free. There's no way I'm paying for it.
It's like this. I didn't mind the seventh one, although I see all the issues, but I didn't mind it. I could forgive it, but the more I watch it, the less I forgive. Because as Razorfist said, it doesn't hold up to repeat viewing. This new one, like, I knew I disliked it, but I can't articulate why I dislike it other than some of the stuff that's already been said. But it's like, I hate it, but I feel empty inside. Because it's just for me, it's just an utter lack of interest. It's just, why are we doing this again? The endless reboots, the endless fucking re-releases, the endless sequels, for fuck's sake. Do you know how many good scripts are dying right now? I mean, just sitting somewhere in some asshole's office and they're not willing to take the risk. But do they even have any? That's the thing.
Yeah, they do. Trust me. Trust me, dude. That, look, every year, something like over 2,000 or 3,000 scripts a year are bought. And they're bought simply to make it so your competition can't have them. You might use them. You might not. You might release them as an indie film. You might subsidize it out to some, other company. You might sell it later. But they're bought. These guys are buying the scripts. They're just holding onto them and not fucking producing them, or producing the garbage on top, or doing what Cloverfield did. That's at least inventive. I'll give them that. I don't approve, but I'll give them that it's at least a novel thing to do with all these goddamn scripts laying around in Hollywood, where you just take a script and say, all right, we have a Cloverfield universe we created, right? Neat. Let's just take other scripts and inject our universe into them and then produce that. I don't want to write a new script. That's hard. We have hundreds of these scripts sitting here. Let's just choose one of these and change it a bit. Just tweak it a bit, and then we give them their little credit for it, and we're good.
God, it's become such a how do I describe it? It's never been a meritocracy, and that's finally come to bite them in the ass, because now they're more interested in what reaches their bottom line rather than actual quality. Because at some point they actually did try to produce quality films, like in the 30s and the 20s and the 30s. Like MGM, they would always come up with some.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff.
there was. I approve more of. Okay, there was a time in the 80s and early 90s when all the technology for producing a quote-unquote film got cheap. You could just do it for like $12,000. You could probably pump out a movie that could make it to a VHS tape. So people did it. And even some of those absolutely horrible movies, I would prefer. I would prefer Hollywood go back to dumping out 150 movies where most of them are absolute schlock trash that you can just ignore or laugh at, that make very little money. And then there's a tier of watchable movies, and then there's maybe 12, 14 really, really good movies that people put time and energy into the scripting, maybe took several years to shoot. I'd prefer to go back to that model, because what we're doing now is literally just throwing CGI on a screen and then expecting people to ooh and ah.
And they're scripted by committee. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and you can feel it. You can feel that you're watching a camel and not watching a sleek racehorse that someone built. You're looking at a camel. This is made by committee. It's garbage, and everyone knows it's garbage, but hell, it works. Let's do it.
And let's not forget the social justice shit that they're just putting in everywhere, forcing it down.
Well, I mean, if they don't see, and this is like, okay, go watch a movie like Olympus Down, right? Or frankly, any of the America Fuck Yeah movies. And when I say that, anyone listening who watches those style of movies or has ever seen one knows what I'm talking about. The America Fuck Yeah movies. Perfectly good movies sometimes around the America Fuck Yeah. Same with these other movies, but you can still feel it. And it should feel as shticky. It should, to the audience, feel as overplayed and passé. But for some reason, it doesn't. For some reason, it's still being applauded. When in reality, it's just a shtick, guys. It's a sales shtick that's in the exact opposite demographic and market to the fucking America Fuck Yeah shtick.
So
that's all you're doing. You're being commodified. You're sold a product.
What about music? I know you like classical music. Do you like anything else other than that?
I listen to a lot of, and here's where it gets super pretentious. I listen to classical music. I listen to modern neoclassical music, which is stuff that's kind of bizarre. I listen to a lot of folk and lo-fi folk along the basis of like the Mountain Goats, those style of bands. There's a lot of guys on YouTube right now that actually do this really, really folk revival-y stuff that I listen to. And other than that, I mostly listen to things that are from my youth. So stuff like, I listen to a lot of 70s music, like quite a bit of 60s and 70s music. I listen to torch songs, 1950s and 60s torch songs. I love, well, and a lot of the stuff like I'll admit to listening to in my youth, I've gone back and listened to now and just gone, I can't believe I ever liked that. And I think everyone feels that way, but I have a soft spot for stuff like 90s college rock.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely have a soft spot for shit like that. I'll always probably enjoy stuff like that. Other than that, but mostly when I'm actually trying to just relax, it's classical music.
So do you think music suffered from the same kind of thing that Hollywood has, or has it just always been a different beast? Because
it depends on the definition of always.
Yeah, they've gone through a lot of different changes because unlike the film industry, their industry's kind of been destroyed by the internet.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, depends on how you view it, because I cannot believe that there are human beings on the planet that can still turn on and just listen to a radio station. I don't understand it. I've heard the stuff that comes on the radio makes me want to jump out of my car. I mean, it legitimately makes me just go, I could just crash into this tree and not have this happen anymore. That's an option. But between the whole millennial woo thing, between the resurgence of the attempt to sound like soul music, what the fuck is that?
I hate that.
That could die right now. That could stop right now if it wanted to. I've been in way too many churches. I'm good, really. Apparently, Southern Baptists are novel to these people, but they're fucking not to me. I grew up in the South, and I've heard this sound plenty. I'm good. You get stuff like that, and then modern pop, or, I mean, what am I going to listen to? Rap? I don't fucking think so. It's just... I haven't liked rap since I stopped doing things you shouldn't with your life. Basically, in short.
So when you
I
stop
mean,
being a
if you want,
criminal.
yeah, in short, if you want the truth, I mean, I could give you a lot I listened to. Like, honestly, one of my favorite things to listen to at the time was fucking Lil Wayne put out
Oh yeah.
an album that someone put out a chopped and screwed version of.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever heard what rap music sounds like chopped and screwed, but man, that used to be literally the only fucking album in my tape deck. I'd sit there and just run that through when I was out fucking doing all the bad shit I did.
Is there any rap that you still kind of like that you might listen to occasionally? Or is
No.
it no? Not
Honestly,
even the
there's-
more conscious
no.
stuff?
I can actually still really enjoy that album I just described for some reason. Just the sound of that is appealing to me. Chopped and screwed styles, where it's kind of bizarre. I used to listen to, like, when I was real young. I used to listen to shit like Eminem. But I tried listening to Eminem recently, and even his old stuff. I'm like, I'm good. Really,
Yeah,
I'm good. I don't need this. I don't. It's a youth thing, I think. Honestly, I'm fucking very rapidly approaching 30 now. So I'm kind of like, that's not my speed. And as I've joked, dating a girl that really likes rap music is a warning of a lifestyle choice. So that's on you, if you want to know the truth. It is a lifestyle thing. It's a clubbing lifestyle. It's a meter in a bar, loser in a bar lifestyle. You know what I mean? It just is. It always has been. It's not new. That's not new. It was the same when I was involved in it. It's you'd meet all these fucking hood bitches, and yeah, they're down to ride. You're good to fucking have, a girl on your arm for, several months until something else happens, or you fucking hit a rough patch in your dealing and you can't provide the same lifestyle, and then poof. That's the game. That's part of it. And that's, truth be told, that's why rap tends towards the misogynist. It tends towards the misogynistic outlook because of the behavior of some of the people in it. That's just reality. It's unfortunate reality, but when you can go to a club and have women pull their G-strings up and twerk in your lap because you happen to sell cocaine, you get a different view of women. Just a reality. You just tend towards a different view of women than if perhaps you meet women that would look at that and go, okay, selling cocaine isn't like real money, right? Like, that's hood rich shit. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're hood rich. You're not, there are investment bankers that like throw the money away to him, right? Like, there are people that make thousands of dollars an hour and not just a couple hundred. So, I mean, it's just a different outlook that you get from living the lifestyle that tends to be associated with it.
So what's your favourite classical musician? Or composer?
Mahler.
Oh, interesting. I've not really
Yeah,
decided
I like
on
Mahler.
mine.
I like Rachmaninoff quite a bit.
I like him, yeah.
My favorite piece is actually Mavlast, about the river in Eastern Europe. I had it as a ringtone for a while, but it doesn't get loud enough. Frankly,
I like at the moment I like Mars from Holst. I like that one very much.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I like that whole suite in general, but that's
nice.
my favorite.
As
piece.
bizarre as it is, have you ever heard? I can't remember the title, but if you look it up, there's a movie called Departures. And it's a Japanese movie. If you get a chance, watch the movie. But if you don't, just look up the theme song for it. And that is one of the most stunning pieces for a single instrument that has been put together in a while.
Really?
And it's modern. If you want to hear some really amazing modern classical, go to Japan. Listen to the new Japanese composers. They are stunning.
What about Philip
You hear it in
Glass?
video games, truth be told.
Yeah,
That's where their industry flourished. I mean, I don't listen to a lot of the stuff that was based on that because I haven't run into it, and I don't really play those type of video games, if there's any other way to say it. I don't really play weeb shit.
It's a guy who did Final Fantasy. He basically is a classical composer, but he does video games.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a functioning industry for him. I appreciate what he did because he basically did what you hear people have done in Hollywood, where they go into it. They're composers, but they're going to do scores now because that's frankly how you get paid. There's not a big industry around sitting and listening to concert music anymore.
No.
There's just not.
Although, like, I've seen like it's had a bit of a resurgence. Like, I've noticed the proms over here are popular again. I mean, they've always kind of been popular, but I've noticed increasingly that they've been experimenting with the format. So, like, recently it must have been 2 years ago, they actually did a really good kind of classical music meets kind of, well, it was dance music, but it was kind of like the Ibiza house stuff, and they were putting an orchestra to it, and apparently it was amazing. So
Well, Jesus, at least there's someone playing an instrument. That's all I'm asking for.
Well, I think it was synthesizers and also the orchestra. I don't think it was just a DJ.
Yeah, no, that's fine as long as there's actually someone playing something. I appreciate it.
But the idea was to meld the two styles, and apparently it was a very interesting experiment.
Yeah, I've heard quite a bit of electronica that incorporated orchestras, and it tends to be quite good.
One of my they are my favorite band. New Order did a 6-day gig for the Manchester, because that's where they're from. Was it the Arts Festival? Yeah, we had an Arts Festival, and they did a 6-day gig, and they had it wasn't an orchestra, quote unquote, but it was a load of synthesizers, and people were playing them, and they were from the local music college. Well,
nice.
Yeah, that was really good. You couldn't always hear them because orchestras blend, but
yeah, absolutely.
But when you did hear them, it was adding something new to the mostly electronic stuff, because they're a rock band that does electronic music essentially, and they broke a lot of ground doing that. I mean, Blue Monday. I mean, without that song, we wouldn't have a club culture here.
I'm bored of most of it. Often I hear something new on the radio, and it just sets my teeth on edge. I just don't, just not into it.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're gonna end it here.
Oh hell, it has been about an hour and a half, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been quite a while. So it's getting late over here. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. This was the first proper episode and Hagbard's first stream for a long time. So hope you had a good time.
Yeah, thanks for coming by, everyone.
Yeah. See you later, guys.
Take it easy.